Hi, I'm Scott Ulmer, the CEO of Little Pink Houses of America, and I'm coming to you from Jacksonville, Florida. I want to thank you for allowing us into your home today. Currently, we're in over 45 markets around the United States and Canada, and I always like to start off with our mission statement. It's very simple, and it goes like this: we create homeowners. I share that right off the bat because it's our passion and purpose behind our profit. It's what drives us every day. I tell people often we are very much a purpose-driven company. Yes, we are for profit, but it's important and it's imperative to us that the folks we work with are successful. What that means to a seller like yourself is that you sell the home successfully, ultimately maximizing the gain on the sale and really the profit potential as a whole. For our buyers, that means qualifying through our program, successfully completing it, and ultimately getting the deed to the home in their name, and as we say, with a big smile, hopefully living happily ever after. It's what we strive for in every deal that we do, and it's important for me to share that platform that we provide here. Let me go through the high points of our program in a fairly quick order just to kind of share them with you as a whole. First and foremost, the title never transfers to the home unless you live in Texas. The title will remain in your name until you've been paid in full. As our buyer completes our mortgage readiness program and successfully qualifies for a traditional loan, you will be paid off, and it is at that time that title will ultimately transfer, but it does not transfer until you've been paid in full, number one. Number two, every buyer that we work with is required to have sufficient skin in the game, is what we call it. Every home we sell requires a 5 to 10% down payment. We've learned over 23 years of doing this full time, there's no better mitigation against risk than skin in the game. So every buyer that we work with will be putting a sizable down payment down on the home, and they will get a full credit for that at the time that they go to the bank and qualify for their traditional mortgage. Third, there's no collection processes involved here. We enlist the help of a third-party escrow servicing company who will debit the buyer's account prior to the first of the month and will direct deposit into your account. So there are no checks in the mail, there's no collection processes. They will be streamlined and deposited directly into your bank account. Next, there are no landlording responsibilities on your end. We do ask that you warranty the major mechanical systems for the first 30 days of occupancy of the home. After that, 100% of any ongoing upkeep, maintenance, or repairs, of which every home has, ultimately fall onto our buyer's responsibility. They will be responsible for maintaining and upkeeping the home. We will talk about a home warranty. We do advocate that, but it's important for you to know right up front that we are not looking for you to be a landlord in any way, shape, or form. The process for which we go to qualify our buyers is exact like Bank of America or Wells Fargo. The underwriting process that we undertake, we call it the vetting process, is where we're looking at 2 years of our buyer's tax returns, 30 to 90 days worth of bank statements, 30 to 90 days worth of income verification. We are obviously verifying job. We're going to be pulling credit, 3 scores, identifying the mid-score. We're going to be factoring the ratios, debt to income, debt ratio, and any and all other pertinent information regarding our buyer's financial criteria is taken into consideration. Now, let me be clear, we are not the ones that are looking at it. We actually have a third-party specialist who's much smarter than we are when it comes to writing mortgages and really understanding our buyer situations. So we will come to the table and ultimately bring an offer to you once we have fully vetted our buyer and really taken them through a very detailed underwriting process. And through that process, we're really looking for 2 primary factors, 2 really important points. Point number 1 is the why. Why are they not able to qualify for a traditional loan today? What are the reasons that led up to their either being denied and or just not able to qualify today? That really gives us the backstory of the buyer and why they're in the position that they are in. Those are very important points and facts for us to know. I would argue what's even more important is the when. When is the time frame that our buyer is likely going to need before they're able to qualify for a traditional mortgage, and the exact steps they need to take to get there. We actually put that as a requirement into our agreement. Our buyer is required to fulfill those steps that are identified for them through the vetting process. They are also required to work with a mortgage planning and preparation company that will facilitate their traditional loan at the end of the term. It's very important for you to know. It's one of the key points that distinguish us from any other outfits similar to ours. We take a lot of time up front to make sure that we are thoroughly vetting and underwriting our buyer, understanding they're probably not going to qualify today, We are looking for the reasons why, and more importantly, the when and the correlating items that need to be undertaken while they are with us and working with us through that 12-month give or take window before they are required to obtain a traditional mortgage. That vetting process is very, very important. And I want you to know you have full approval on anyone that we want to work with. When we come back to the table with a buyer who has been thoroughly vetted and we have an actual formal offer to present you, you retain full approval rights in anyone we want to work with. If for some reason the buyer or the offer or the credentials and the deal as a whole doesn't make sense, you simply reject it and or have the ability to counter it, but you always reserve and retain the right to approve or reject any offer that we bring to the table. Very, very important for me to share that with you. Also, we pre-negotiate our buyer closing costs. It's become very much a standard for every buyer today to ask for every seller to contribute to their closing costs. Seller concession or seller contribution to our buyer closing costs has become almost the standard over the past 10 years. And as I say often, you as a seller are not required to say yes to a buyer's request for 3% towards their closing costs, but in many cases it can make or break the deal. One of the things that we do from the very beginning is we will negotiate that out of the deal as a whole. So we are actually requiring buyer to pay their closing costs. You as the seller will have your customary closing costs as well, but you will not be asked for a contribution towards the buyer closing costs. We will pre-negotiate that out of the agreement from day one. And right off the bat, that's going to save you 3% depending on the price point of your home. You can obviously do the math, but that adds up and really is a significant factor that we will pre-negotiate from day one. Next, the payments that are made during the term from the buyer do not credit off of the price of the home. So whatever price that we agree to with you, we will sell it to our buyer at a higher price, but those monthly payments do not credit off of what is owed to you. Those actually will aggregate on top of the price that is cash flow to you. If in fact you have cash flow, it will pay your current or underlying mortgage down if in fact you have one. As your mortgage amortizes with every payment that is made, you ultimately will create more equity into your home. But those payments are on top of the price that we agree to, and that really makes the math or the economic benefit to you as the seller very, very attractive, and it's very important for you to know at the end of the day. And finally, we come to the table with a deal as a whole, with a fully vetted buyer, a solid down payment number, terms and conditions that we believe are going to be favorable to you. If we don't believe in the deal or we don't believe it's a good deal for you, we're not going to bring the deal to the table. So when we come back to you, we're going to have all of our ducks in a row, a fully qualified, fully vetted buyer in our world and in our program, and ultimately we're going to give you full approval rights on anyone that we want to work with. You get the chance and the final say whether or not it's a yes or no. Those are some of the really key points to convey, some of the highlights that we want you to know right up front. And ultimately, when we come back to the table with the buyer, you'll make the right decision for you with our input and guidance. And ultimately, together, we'll see if it's a good fit for you and a good fit for us, and ultimately a good fit for our buyer. Now, there are three things that really distinguish us from other people or other outfits that may do something similar, and I just want to share those briefly. Number one, how we qualify our buyer, how we vet our buyer and take them through the underwriting process, and how we educate our buyer is really, really important. I learned a long time ago that by spending time up front before we make a decision, really taking time to educate our buyers and our clients to make sure that they're crystal clear on what's expected of them, how they can successfully complete our program, and ultimately what is going to be encompassed in that process. When we educate them and they understand clearly what the expectations are, the success rate is exponentially greater. We take a lot of time up front to not only structure the right terms and conditions specific to our buyer's ability, but we also make sure that we vet them very thoroughly, understanding that they're not going to qualify today in most cases, but we're looking for those reasons why and when, and ultimately we sit down, educate them, make sure that their expectations are very much crystal clear and they know what it's going to take to be successful in our program. That's number one. Number two, as I mentioned, we custom make every term and condition around our buyer's individual ability. So we don't just have some sort of a cookie cutter scenario where you either fit or you don't. we're going to work with our buyers and create a custom blueprint and custom terms and conditions that are geared to set them up for success and ultimately able to qualify for their mortgage in a short window of time. We'll know that time frame once we've identified our buyer, and ultimately we'll present that to you. But it's important that you know that every buyer we work with has individual terms and conditions structured around their ability to become successful through our program. That's very important. Number 3 is the fact that we remain involved with every buyer that we work with, and we hold their hands to the finish line. The finish line is being qualifying for their mortgage successfully, getting the deed to the home in their name, and as we say again with a big smile, living happily ever after. But it's really important to understand that many of our folks require hand-holding, and that's one of the things that we do. We have a post-closing system that all of our buyers are plugged into, and they get individual attention through the course of their term with us until they are able to successfully qualify for their mortgage. Our partner today brought some very simple paperwork to share with you. It's simple by design. I learned a long time ago that we want to make everything very clear and easy to understand, and so our paperwork that we had custom made and developed by 2 different law firms is very, very simple to understand, and it allows us to move forward with you, and they will be presenting that to you today while they are at the home. I want you to know as well that I'm sure that any questions you have, they will be able to answer. But what we always do is we have a corporate representative available for every appointment. So if there are any questions after you watch this video and while our partner is at your home and you have questions that are not able to be answered, we do have somebody standing by live that you are able to call and have any other questions that are answered. We always want to be involved and there for our partners and ultimately there for you as well. So please know that somebody is going to be on standby from corporate in case any questions are not able to be answered by our partner. Finally, just want to conclude by saying, again, we're thankful to be able to be in your home sharing this with you. We're proud of our business and our business model. We're proud of how we ultimately undertake our business, and we certainly hope we have the opportunity to share that with you. Again, we're thankful to be in your living room here and ultimately hope we have the chance to earn your business today. If you have any questions that are not able to be answered, our partner has our direct line here. Someone is on standby, and I want to thank you for watching this video. And again, I hope we have the chance to earn your business. Thank you.